Yeah, in her office. Wow, Shireen, did you clean up the mess behind you? I
Yeah,
just noticed.
Mari made me. I have to clean up my table as well.
Behind you?
Yeah, I'm a very messy and untidy person. Only when I'm working though.
Well, if she can clean up her office, I should be able to clean up my act. So,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey Hayden, how you doing?
Hey Jace, I'm doing good, man. Getting healthy.
Good.
Yeah.
Was your baby?
Baby's great.
Awesome.
Good as new. Everyone's good except Hayden. On the mend. That's a good photo of Jake.
yeah,
He looks
I
lean.
think you were there, bro.
he
Oh, yeah.
was. You should see Jake now. He's actually leaned out quite a bit in the last little while.
Has he?
He was gaining weight to be the strongest man in the world. And now he's
What?
leaning out again.
He's the most shredded man in the world. That's next, bro.
Nice.
Summer's coming.
He's pivoting.
I just don't want to be unhealthy anymore.
Nice.
It feels way better to be healthy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just like I was sacrificing health for size and strength, which is
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I
How you
wanna be
doing,
the
Sandra?
biggest, strongest 230 pounds I can do.
You what?
Biggest, strongest 230 instead of 250.
Yeah. Yeah, your body will have a comfort weight zone for sure. Healthy zone.
Welcome, Mari.
Hey Marty.
Thank you.
Hey Jace, Derek tells me you're just on fire at the moment.
I'm working on it.
Just eating it up. Setting goals, getting the
awesome.
work done, studying. Just he says you're like a young Elon Musk.
Yeah, I understand the part where he was like, yeah, I just did these super long days, didn't get any sleep. Yeah, that's all starting to make sense now.
Yeah. Not enough hours in the day.
No, there are. I just need to manage them better. That's all it is.
Hey,
Hi,
Papa.
Hey,
Fava.
Fava.
Hey, Baba.
Who's that? No, she hasn't connected yet.
She's just connecting, yeah. Hey, Sean.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm all right.
We got,
Good.
how you feeling?
I'm tired. Yeah, I had to go on a breathalyzer or a inhaler, so
Oh wow.
yeah,
Oh,
that
did ya?
sucks. Yeah,
Oh.
You got knocked around.
yeah, it was pretty severe for what it was.
Wow.
Hayden got it too.
Yeah, my whole family got it. We've been at
Did
home.
it?
Yeah. We got off
Yeah.
lucky, I reckon. We got off
Did you?
really lucky. Yeah, I just was really tired.
Yeah,
Tired and achy. But that was it. There was like 5 days on the couch where I just didn't do anything. And then now a bit of a head cold and that's about it. But it sounds like you got rocked.
yeah, I had a pretty rough time. I've still got a rash from it, like this rash that keeps coming back on my arms, and it's crazy.
Yeah, you got hit hard.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely was on the more severe side effects.
Hayden's too stubborn to get sick.
You beat me to it by 5 seconds there.
Yeah.
Man, all the IM statements and all the positive psychology that we work on. Oh, yeah, it was hard to accept illness. I'm like, am I really sick or am I just telling myself I'm sick? Yeah, I reckon if it wasn't COVID rules, I probably would have kept going to work and just thought, oh, I'm a little run down.
Oh.
Crazy. I'm so glad that they implemented the rules.
Yeah.
Hey, Dallas.
Okay, guys, I'm going to get fired up, start moving. So the reason and the intention of this meeting is to bring awareness to how to attract some awesome, excellent employees, and not only just attract them, but to retain them long-term, and just to attract the right employees at the same time as well. I don't know if I've shared this with everybody, but I was a business owner for quite a few years. I hired hundreds of employees. I figured it out the other day, over my years, I've hired over 1,000 employees in 25 years. So I didn't realize this until I started really thinking about it, because I used to recruit for dealerships, and I just, I've always been recruiting and adding people in every business that I've ever worked in. So I understand what business owners go through. So I really wanted to deliver this to all of our partners, especially just to kind of alleviate some of the pain that you guys go through when you're hiring. Whoop. Anyway, sorry, phone's ringing. So what I'd like to do today is I'm going to go through really quickly. And if you guys have any questions as we go through, I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. We may run into a couple of challenges just with time, so I'm just going to buzz through it as quick as I can. But just know also, we're going to be rolling out today the strategy that Action Coach has used with been using it for over 20 years. And it's absolutely one of the, I would say personally, it's the most effective hiring process I've ever seen in my life. And as mentioned, I was a part of many organizations that did many different strategies for hiring. And this is definitely by far the best one I've ever had. Just the experience that I had with it, using the system. It was one of the toughest things to try to down after we went through the system, and just being able to deselect, we call it, deselect in the process of finding the best. It was like we got down to the last 5 and they were the best of the best through the program. Anybody know who this guy is? Bald and beautiful. Just remember that. So our vision, my vision, Avid Action Coach's vision, is to be the largest movement of business growth in the world. We are so passionate about that. That really lights me on fire when I say that. And then the global vision for Action Coach is world abundance through business re-education. Why I'm even sharing my vision with everybody today is because I want to express to you guys how important it is to have a vision in your company and how that can attract people. If my vision was to be, what would be a boring vision for a coaching company? Anybody want to give me one? Come on.
To grow.
We help you succeed. That's kind of boring.
That would be boring. Or that's a good one. But here's another one even better. We're going to give you a lot of work to do. Not very exciting. But to be a part of the largest movement of business growth in the world is way more exciting. So a little bit about me. I'm a business owner. I'm a business growth specialist. I'm a public speaker. I'm an investor in property, mostly real estate and mostly residential. I'm also a part of a certified value builder program. We do a business appraisals and we're experts at it. I'm working on that, by the way. Not an expert yet. So, excellent employees. Team. What does team stand for? Together, everyone achieves more. Ever more with ever less. I think everybody would agree that for the most part, the more, the merrier. But the problem, what most people find is they get themselves into a position where they're hiring people and they're not training and they're not educating, and maybe they're trying to and just not succeeding. So ever more with ever less, together everyone achieves more. Look, a picture of me. What's the first key to the winning team? Strong leadership. So guys, the reason why I'm going over this, and I get it, some of this stuff you've seen before, but this is 6 keys to develop a winning team. And it's very crucial that every step of the 6 to the winning team is in place. So strong leadership. Let's look at ourselves. We're all leaders in the community. Our businesses, like Brad Sugar says, grows to our level of incompetence. And for some people that sounds harsh, but it's true. Your business is here. You're here. In order to grow your business, you have to grow. Knowledge, whatever that means, you got to grow. As you grow, your business grows. So strong leadership is extremely important. In order to be a strong leader, we've seen this a million times, but it's very important. Strong leaders take ownership and accountability and responsibility for everything. Even when it feels like it's not your fault, you're going to take ownership. And the reason why we do that is because then we take our power, right? We hold our power. If we blame other people and we make excuses and live in denial for anything, you give your power away. And you look like that sad battery on the bottom. That's literally what people look like when they give their power away. You look sad. So if you want to be strong and you want to be accountable and responsible, take the power back. Prime example, when I was in business, I used to always say, oh, if I had good employees, I'd be able to have this much money. Or if I had, good employees, I would be growing way faster, but there's no good employees out there. Well, I don't know. You guys can probably picture where that's heading. So when you're looking for good employees, I actually had a good conversation with a business owner today about this. The first thing first thing I did when I thought, well, I'm going to attract like winners in my business. I want to attract the best employees. First thing I looked at was, who do I got to be? And I think anybody that knows me knows that this is my focus, is who I have to be. What's my be? If I'm going to attract awesome, high-ranking businesses to my business and high-ranking coaches in my business and just lots of positivity in my life, who does Derek got to be to attract the best businesses to work with him? And so that goes the same with employees. Who does Derek got to be to attract the best team? Automatically, I look at myself and I say, this is what I want to be. And yes, when I started the journey, I wasn't the B, but every day I work towards becoming that person, and I use it with I am statements, or I ask for it every day, or I work towards it every day. I become the stronger version of who I can be. So once you become the B, now you got to take action on it to get the have. So if you want good employees, this same thing relates. B times do equals excellent employees. It's the same way. Leadership is all about passion. What's the next one? I'll tell you. Responsibility. Leadership is about passion and responsibility. Has anybody seen this one yet? I've been putting it out all over Facebook.
Yeah.
Fava's like, of course we've seen it. You put it, you harass me, you join me into every group. You won't leave me alone. She's agreeing. How could I not see it? Hey, Fava, that's how much I care about your business. So how does it work? The owner. So a lot of people look at this, and obviously it's going in a circle right now, but a lot of people look at this and we always look and go, okay, who's the most important for the owner who should the owner be focused on? And immediately the owner goes, I should focus on customers. They're the most important. And although they're maybe right to an extent, I'm gonna change that mindset a little bit. In the cycle of business, the owner is there to take care of the team. Because if the team is taken care of and they get the education and they get the inspiration from the owner, they're going to pass that same care on to the customers. Monkey see, monkey do. So if you treat your team awesome, they're going to treat your customers awesome. And guess what your customers are going to do? Your customers are going to treat your business awesome. They're going to be raving fans. They're going to run around telling everybody about how good your business is. And guess what happens when your business does good? What does the business take care of? Fava takes care of Fava. It takes care of Mitchie. It takes care of Jake. It takes care of Michelle. It takes care of all of us. So the owner takes care of the team takes care of the customers takes care of the business, and the business takes care of the owner. Just like that. Hayden, I'm going to get you to jump in on this next slide. I'm just going to give you a heads up. I'm putting Hayden on the spot.
Lovely. Thanks, Derek. When hiring, the old method of hiring was to look at a resume and just ask if someone had the skill set. Do they have the years of experience needed to do the job? And that's just the person's body and their mind. Do they have the technical knowledge, and can they get the job done? These days, to run a high performance business, we need more than that. We need to get their heart and their spirit involved. We need someone who's going to be passionate about our business. Passionate just like Fava is about her business, or Jason is. They absolutely love what they do. Now, if we can find a person who has the passion, we can teach them the skill set, but it's much, much harder to teach someone with the skill set how to have the passion. So when you're hiring, how are you attracting an employee who has the passion? How are you going to be in the hiring process? How are you going to find out whether they have the passion or not? What questions are you going to ask? Or what tasks are you going to get them to perform to see what their deeper values and beliefs are, to make sure they have that heart and that spirit? Did that satisfy you, Derek?
That was excellent. That's better than I would have said it. So I'm glad I got you to explain that slide. Thanks, Hayden.
You're welcome.
So with that said, let's talk about perturbation. Does anybody else want to do this slide for me, Hayden or Dallas?
What did you say, Dallas?
Sorry, I said you go ahead.
Oh, I love this slide.
I figured Hayden would be the best for this one. Then. Okay.
Man, I'm good at this one. So right before water turns from a liquid to a gas, before it becomes steam, there's a moment that's called perturbation, where it's perturbing, and it's where it's just about to become a new form and move into a new state of being. And it's very similar. This can be applied to human beings as well. But right before we change as a human being and we reach a new level of growth or a new understanding, we call what we call in action coaches perturbing, and all this emotion is built up within us. And I'm sure some of you have experienced this already with your coach, where you're feeling really uncomfortable and confused. You just need to push through that discomfort, that confusion, because on the other side of is another being of who you could be, another new understanding for you, a new level of growth. So do not shy away from discomfort or confusion, because a better version of you lays on the other side.
Awesome, Hayden. That was great.
I wonder if anyone can think of a specific example this has happened to them.
I can think of many if you guys want one of me, but I'd like to hear yours.
Anyone?
It's all good. It's okay. So can I give an example? Of perturbation is, I guess we experience this in the action coach, probably, I wouldn't say more than most, well, probably more than most people, because we're always challenging ourselves to get to that next level. And I think, sometimes by just like, for instance, I had to make a decision once to just set an appointment, and I didn't know how the appointment was going to go. I didn't know how I was going to deliver it. And I started to get really uncomfortable, and I wanted to I wanted to cancel that meeting about 5 or 6 times, and I kept pushing through. And after attending the meeting, it was actually went way better than I thought it was going to go. And I ended up having the biggest breakthrough in the history of Action Coach, because I realized at that moment that I was what I needed to be in that moment. So it was incredible to find out that I had the capability to do that. I wouldn't have broke through to the next level without going through that anxiety, or whatever you want to call it, perturbation, pressure, and those types of things. I kept the lid on, so it was boiling, and it just exploded, and I made it right through. So with perturbation, a breakthrough follows breakdown, break apart, break with, and break up. This happens with perturbation. Sometimes you gotta break down, break apart, break with, break up to break through. And that's really part of what happens when you're working and learning in business. That's one of the biggest struggles, is that we're constantly put under pressure. But under pressure, and sometimes you get confused, but the confusion is what really gets you to go to the next level, because when you're confused, you use more brain capacity, because you're using the right side of your brain, which is your creative, or, creative. We'll just put it at that. And so on the creative side, and then you're using the analytical side, and you're firing back and forth. And then next thing you know, you have a breakthrough from confusion. 6 keys to the winning team. We had a strong leadership and a common goal. Can I have somebody else explain this one to me? Why would it be important for you to have a common goal with your team?
So everyone knows what they're working towards and where they're trying to go.
Awesome. And Mitchie, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was dealing with a customer thing.
Yeah, no worries. What would you think? Why would it be important to have a common goal with your team at all times and have them understand your goal?
So you all have the same end in sight.
Yep. Do you have any examples? No? Anybody have an example in their business where they have a goal and the team knows about it, and they're all trying to achieve it together?
Ours is, we want everybody in our organization and in our clientele to get stronger in their lives and in their bodies. So we all know that that's the common goal, where we want to walk, talk, and give strength.
Awesome. Fava?
Yeah. Right now we just have a small little goal where my barbers are really taking an interest on doing ladies' haircuts. And so I've been training them on Tuesdays for the past few weeks on how to do ladies' haircuts. And they're all taking a really great interest in it.
Awesome.
It's exciting them because it's more money in their pockets, more services that they can provide.
Cool. Anybody else have a team goal they want to share that's brought everybody together? Sometimes it's a vision too, right? Like the common goal is a vision for your company that could attract people, attract the right people. So a vision. So speaking of vision, so the vision is to enroll and inspire. Has anybody ever worked for a company that had a really good vision, something that you just connected to? As an example, like just an awesome vision that you were like, wow, I want to work for these guys because they know where they're going and they've got a clear vision where they're going and they know where they're heading and they know what the end is. Anybody ever had a business or even a situation like that where they've worked? Anybody want to share that situation? Or
I know I did like volunteer work once for a food bank, and their vision was something like, we're going to feed the world one meal at a time or something like that. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to give you guys an idea, like for instance, I I specifically used to check people's visions when I was going to work for in company. I was, and I'm not bragging, but I'm bragging. I was a top sales guy for Ford Canada for years. I could have worked for any Ford company. And anytime I was considering, number one, I always looked for the big paycheck. But at the other end of things, I always looked at their vision. And this one time I took a job where they told me I was going to make 40,000 a year less because I was on his website and I actually seen his vision. And it absolutely connected with my vision. And I took that job, and it was up in the middle of nowhere, up north. And the only reason I did it, and he asked me what made me make my decision, I said, it was your vision. Literally the only reason I went to work for that company. I had an opportunity to make more money potentially, but the vision brought me up there, and I ended up making more money than I thought anyway. So it worked out for the long run. Welcome on, Eric. I don't know if you can hear us. Michelle, are you on?
What's up, Eric?
Hey, Eric. Hi, Michelle. Sorry, I don't get to see everybody at once, so I just looked and there's like 17 people on. I'm like, I didn't even talk to anybody yet. Awesome. 3 levels of goals. Number 1, negative or away goals. Does anybody know what that means? Hayden, do you know what that means?
Yep. Do you want me to tell you? Yeah. If you said, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be fat.
Yep. That's an away from goal.
Don't want to be rejected.
Yeah. And the reason why we're talking about 3 levels of goals is because there literally is 3 levels of goals in people. Some people respond to negative or away goals. So they don't want to be broke. So they're going to do everything in their power not to be broke. Positive and towards goals. So positive and towards goals. What's an example of that? Does anybody else want to give me an example? A positive goal. Nobody knows what that is. Mitchie?
You're working towards something like making, I don't know, 10% more this month revenue than you did last month.
Yeah. Yeah, just a positive towards goal. Because there's away goals, like Hayden says, that away goal would be, I don't want to be broke. A towards goal would be, I want to be a millionaire. Right? So there's those two kind of goals. And then there's goals that are bigger than you. Bigger than you. So bigger than you as a business owner, and that's a common goal. That's one that ties everybody in. So a simple goal for a vision could be to create the best business in Kamloops, or the best whatever kind of business you're in that area. And you can use that until you come up with a more personal one. So if you don't have like the end game or the end result for the vision for your company, if you say 100 years from now, this is what my business is going to look like, and you can tell everybody about that. If you can't do that yet, that's fine, but you need something to attract good employees. So one example would be to say, to create, the best barber shop in Kamloops, if you didn't have a vision, and I know Fava has one. So, but that's just an example of what you can do. You can use this until you come up with a more personal one. So 6 keys to a winning team: strong leadership, common goal, and then rules of the game. Culture is what attracts and retains the best employees. If you do not create the culture, your team will. Can you guys put up your hand or click thumbs up if you have culture statements in your business? You guys can just put the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Quite a few of you. That's great. So what do you think is going to happen if you don't have, so we call the culture is like the rules of the game. So if you don't have culture and your team's creating that culture, how is that maybe not a good thing for your business?
Well, that gives them all the control, and then you're powerless.
Yeah. Yeah, takes it away, right? So one big thing is, you know, for me is if they don't know the rules, how do they play by them? And where do you draw the line, right? They're just going to push and push and push and push and push and push and push. And they're going to push that line so far that you're going to explode, or somebody will explode. Or you'll have a breakthrough. Could do that too. This is a neat diagram here. They just talk about the performance. The performance is part of the culture. Like, what are you looking for? Focus, engagement, decision-making, process, framework.
I just call my cell phone.
No.
Yeah.
Standard and norm. As you raise your standards, this is the best part. This is probably already happening to a lot of you in the coaching. As you raise your standards in your business, unfortunately, some people won't come with you. This happens many times in many different businesses. We see it often, time and time again. And sometimes you might say, oh, well, what did I do? Or whatever. Sometimes it's just, you know, the fact is, when you grow as a business owner, when you start to grow, you're raising. And what happens for the most part is when you start to grow, most people around you will start to grow with you. You're going to lift everybody around you, but sometimes, not always, but sometimes they're not going to want to grow. They're not going to want to come with you. And they're going to you don't even have to actually, for the most part, they'll just disappear because they can't handle it. They're not ready for it. And that's okay. That's why we got to set our standards on our goals, rules of the game. Loose, tight culture. Tight rules, culture, context. So my understanding is that obviously when you set culture, you always want to encourage risk-taking, encourage reaching and being creative and reaching for the next level. But there has to be those like borderline flexibility where you're flexible, but you're not so flexible you're willing to break. You have to draw the line sometimes. So 6 keys to the winning team was the strong leadership, common goal, rules of the game, and an action plan. So your action plan would be like, who does what in your business? So when you set a goal and you start working in common areas, make it clear who does what and by when. I find business owners, even myself at times, we know the action plan. We have it right here. Maybe we don't write it down. Maybe we don't explain it properly, but make sure everybody knows who does what and by when. That's a clear method for leadership. It's important to create a culture of innovation, one that both values and rewards risk. So that's Barbara. Support risk-taking. That was the next one until I went to the next one. Support risk-taking. Why do you think it would be important to support some risk-taking? Anybody want to give me an example why that might be a positive thing?
If they're willing to take risks, means that they're willing to help you expand your business.
Ah, yeah, great one, Mitch. That's exactly why. Because if you don't try, sometimes if you're not being creative and you don't support the idea of maybe something new working, you don't grow. So
You,
it's okay
you can become stagnant very quick if you don't take a risk.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we say, like a lot of people, I don't know if I want to support telling everybody to take risks and everything. I mean, I don't think that's the intention of what we're talking about here today, but there is a level of the support risk taking that you have to be comfortable with, you know, and maybe the risk is taking a risk on investing in your team financially to educate them. That's a risk.
Or take a risk and go try women's haircuts instead of just men haircuts.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the other thing. So you're supporting risk taking, and that risk could be educating your client. What do you guys think? What do you think could happen if you don't educate your, sorry, not your client, your employees?
Well, for me, it doesn't matter because I don't have any.
They get behind the 8 ball for what is changing in the industry.
Do you know where I'm going with this, Hayden? Brad Sugars, what he would say?
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying.
Let's hear it.
Some of them might get bored and then go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's a great observation.
Yeah. Sometimes I've heard business owners are afraid to educate their team because they're afraid their team will leave. And Brad Sugars likes to say, yeah, but if you don't educate them, they'll stay. Worse.
And what's worse out of that? Really? What's really worse out of that? I would rather take the risk and educate them and have them leave than to not educate them and have them stay. By far. Healthy workplace. So we take a look at the quadrant and that you see in front of you right now. We talk about self-respect and respect for others. And if you have a low self-respect and a low respect for others, you can see that that's a lose-lose. I don't know if you guys can ever think of a time where you had a low self-respect or a low respect for others in your business. On the top end of this, we got a healthy respect for ourselves, but a low respect for others. And that's what we call a win-lose in business as owners. And on the other end of the scale here, we've got a healthy respect for others, but a low respect for ourselves. And where we really want to be in business as business owners is we want to be up here with the win-win. So in this respect, you have a very healthy respect for yourself, but you also have a respect for others. On the lose-lose, on the low self-respect and the low respect for others, it's manipulative and it's aggressive. On the other end of it, if you have a high self-respect but a low respect for others, it's a hostile, aggressive environment. And a lose-win, you're in a passive, aggressive, and assertive would give you the win-win. How you play the game, lose-lose, -2. Win-lose, sorry, win-lose or lose-win, 0. Win-win, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the solution. What's the, here's a good one. Kaizen. Anybody ever heard this word? If you've been around me long enough, I'm sure you have. Kaizen is the Japanese word for what?
Constant, continuous improvement.
Yep, constant and never-ending improvement. So constant and never-ending improvement. You grow, you plateau. You grow, you plateau. So I'm under the impression, and many statistics have proven it, but if you're not growing, you're not going to stay in one level space. Like, do you believe that anything could just be like perfectly level at all times? Or do you think that at times, if you're not growing, you might start to go downward spiral. So a lot of businesses do that. They'll grow, plateau, and then start to go the other direction. And the whole problem and the whole course of what happens there is they've grown to where they set the goal. So that's the part about having a bigger vision, bigger than yourself, is because you'll grow to that area and then you have to reset that next goal, right? And if you don't, you start to plateau and then you start to go backwards. This is something that's changed my life as a business coach, as a business owner, as an investor, as a speaker. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. Income seldom exceeds your personal development. That's why if you want to attract the best people, you have to become the best person. You will attract what you deserve. That's scary. I don't know how you guys feel. Like for me, that was like almost like a punch in the face when actually I heard that a few years ago when I had a bunch of salespeople and I was whining and complaining to somebody one day and man, I can't get good salespeople. And literally I didn't realize that this was going to come back again to bite me one day, but he actually looked at me and said exactly what Brad Sugar's dad said to him. He said, you get what you deserve. You literally get what you deserve. So if you have bad employees or you have bad salespeople like I had to really look at myself. It took me a long time and I didn't admit it right away. But in the end, he was right. I got the level of staff that I deserved at that time. Six keys to the winning team: goal, rules of the game, action plan, risk-taking. What do you think number 6 is? I'm not going to make you guess. 100% involvement and inclusion. We always talk about this, and the reality of this is the only failure in business is what?
Failure to participate.
Yeah. I don't think failing is not maybe reaching the target at that point. I think failing is quitting. If you keep participating, you're gonna break through the perturbation. 100% involvement in inclusion. So including the whole team. That's part of the team, is you're involving everybody and you're including everybody in everything, that all the vision and the mission and the goals and the culture. Everybody understands it. That's the biggest thing. When we have a session and we're doing the hiring process, there's one session just dedicated to that, to letting them know where we're heading. You know, like Dilip from Morias, for an example, has an unbelievable. What was the vision for Morias? Hayden, do you remember the? I mean, I got an idea, but do you remember the specifics?
Yeah. It was the modern Indian experience in 500 locations. Something like that. Yeah, I can't remember it exactly now that you.
For 500 communities? Is it 500 or 5,000?
500.
500.
Yep.
So he wants to have 500 restaurants. Modern, yeah, whatever it was, it's his vision.
Yeah.
I don't have to remember his, I have to remember mine.
Authentic Indian experience with a modern touch in 500 locations.
Yes. So I'm a guy, I'm moving here from wherever. I've got an option to go work at Moria's or one of the other Indian restaurants. Now, I'm a motivated guy. I want to own my own business one day. I walk into Moria's and on the wall, it says, I want 500 businesses, 500 restaurants in the world, right? I walk into the other guys and he's just got like this, do you want a job attitude? And I see Moria's and I can't stop thinking about that because I'm an entrepreneur and I want to own my own business one day. And I'm the best chef in the world. Where do you think I'm going to work? I'm going where I can grow. And guess what? Moria's is the only one telling me that I can grow in his organization. That's where I go every single time. That's where I went every single time. So if you want the best employees, the best in the world, you better tell them where you're going, wherever that is, because money isn't everything. Growing is important as money. Growing is as important as money. It creates synergy. So when you include everybody, you get synergy. So 1 + 1 = 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or more. So this is like the old concept of ever more, ever less. 6 keys held together. Communication. Oh, this is awesome. This is important. How many people think communication is actually important in a business? I know business owners that don't like to communicate because they're worried about what their staff is going to say. I actually have seen that a lot in businesses. I'd be more worried about what they're saying to other people behind your back if that was the case. Be cautious and be open to communicate. Action Coach, we do a whiffle. It's called What I Feel Like Expressing. We go around the room, we express exactly what we're feeling. Here's the best part. Communication is the oil that keeps the machine running. I love that. It's the oil. It stops the friction. True communication is the response you get. Anybody want to touch on that, what that might mean? Somebody must.
It's a two-way street with communication. But what you communicate, if you're not communicating in a proper manner or in a manner that you can be understood, you're not communicating very well. So the real communication is when you get the response that you were looking for.
Yep. And that's a hard one for me because this has been something that recently has been a challenge for me, is communication. So in business, if you put out an email to your staff and 50% of them understand what you're saying and 50% don't, who do you look at? So I put an email out, 50% of the people don't understand what it is, 50% do. Do I look at them and say, well, get with the times, get with the program, smarten up? Or do I maybe look at myself? It's hard, man. I don't always want to be like, oh, this is my fault. But the reality of it is if the communication isn't getting to them and they don't understand it, and the response I'm getting is not the actual true communication, it's hard to look at anybody else but myself at that point. This is what I was just talking about. So we lock it in with rituals. The people may change, but the teams stick together. This is what I was talking. So the whiffle, what I feel like saying is, and that's the first time I've heard saying. Anybody that's been a part of Action Coach will know what a whiffle is because we've done it. And that's what I feel like saying. Thank you. So basically what we do is we encourage our businesses to open up on a regular basis in meetings with a whiffle. And it's what I feel like expressing. And that's what I feel like expressing after the expression. Follow the recruiting system. So we're going to get a little bit into that. This is what everybody's been waiting for. So the deselection. It's funny because most people hire to select. We hire to deselect in our process. So we might get 70, 80 people applying, but it's called the deselection process. We only want the right people on the bus. So part of our recruiting system is advertising. I was guilty of this probably a few times. I didn't spend any money on trying to, like, I would say that employees are probably one of your biggest investments, if not the biggest investment in your company. And yet, when I talk to business owners, they don't want to spend money. Oh, I don't want to spend money on advertising to get get a new employee. Just put it in, put it on Facebook or put it on, this. Don't spend any money. That amazes me that we don't spend as much time and money and resources on the biggest investment in your business, or one of the biggest investments. And yet we expect awesome results from it. And we expect to find awesome employees. We don't do the screening. We generally, I think we hire sometimes, we just literally, I know some businesses that check the pulse, and if it's beating, they start the next day. Anybody know anybody like that?
I've done that myself before.
Thanks for your honesty, Sandra.
I've done that a lot myself.
I have
and I've
done
actually
that.
been training myself not to do that, actually.
Good for you, Mitch.
I've had to put
Literally.
myself understaffed just based on not being able to bring people I know would just cause me more headache than help. And I've actually run into that quite often. When I first started, every person I talked to, I would just hire. And now there's a little bit of a more of a process.
You mean you didn't even check their pulse?
No, if they can breathe or talk to me even, they're in.
Yeah, you're not the only one, Mitch. Trust me.
But obviously
I know guys. I was one of them in sales. Literally, if you walked in the door and gave me any kind of reason why I should hire you, you would be hired. It's just the way things go. It's just too hard to screen them. And, but yet the reality of it was I spent 10 times more training new salespeople than I ever would have, just starting with the end in mind, right? Do some screening, and then let's work on the deselection. Induction. So step 1, sales process. Treat it like advertising for clients. Do not cheap out on this, guys. This is so important. It's an employee. It's a team member that could potentially make or break your business. Do not undersell this. This is important. Advertise, spend as much as you need, get the right clients, or advertising for employees. Use a medium right for the target. What does that mean, Hayden?
Put it on more places than Facebook.
Everywhere.
Where is your ideal candidate going to be looking for work?
Exactly. Thanks, Hayden. That's great. Where is the best guys in the world for that position looking for jobs? Some of them aren't even looking for jobs. So how would you get in front of some of those people that aren't looking but may look if you got an awesome vision? Put your vision out there in the ad. And remember, referrals. Go to your team. Hey, you got an awesome employee. Go find me somebody like you. Hey, you got an awesome team. Go find me people that are just like you. Write the ad with you in focus. So what I mean by that is it's about them. It's like, what's in it for me, right? What's in it for the employee? Write the ad as if it's about him and not you, or her and not you. Them or not you. If you are XYZ, we are looking for, you'll be what? See, you don't even have to be able to make sense and you can hire people. I should have looked at that one. I think Marty even pointed that out one day. Write about who you want. To apply. So who do you want to apply? What's he look like? What's he act like? Who is he? Write it all down. Write it all down and make sure that that's who you target. Focus selling the position. Don't be afraid to be salesy. Tell them about how good you are. Tell them about your vision, your mission, your culture, why they should work for you. Don't undersell the position. Remember, you don't just want anybody. You want to be someone, or you want someone great to reply. Have them reply to a phone number, which I can actually, I'll put my phone number so you guys can check it out. It's pretty cool. I'll have to find it here. You guys can call this number after. I'll put it in the chat. One sec. Whoops. This is what I did just as I'm doing this just to show you guys. Call that number after. You'll see what I mean by have them apply to a phone number first. You'll know what I mean by that. If using a job site, reply to everyone with a message that resells them on the job and ask them to call in. So if you can't put a number on there, then send them a number and ask them to call in on that number. And you'll see why when you check my message. Step 2 is the screening process. So you're putting on an answering machine. You're putting an answering machine on the number in the advert. Leave about a 3-minute message giving people information about you, your company, the position, and how to leave a message. Explain in detail. Ask them to leave their full contact information details. Also, get people to answer 3 questions. And these are the 3 questions. Why are you suited for this position? What are your 3 strongest attributes? What is your biggest success? Why do you think that these questions are important? Why do you think this screening process is important?
If someone can't take a phone call and go through the process of answering your call, then they're not worth your time to even interview.
Yep.
Yep.
I had 80 employees apply for one of our positions that Shireen holds now. 80 employees call that number, and I think we only ended up with like 11 or 12 messages. 80 phone calls came in. They got to that point, they freaked out and hung up. Or one guy argued with himself on the call. It was the most unbelievable message. I showed Hayden. You guys, I don't really like the way you're doing this. You know, like, I think you guys should just be man and pick up the phone and talk to me. Like, why do we got to do this like this? This was the guy's conversation with me. That was his message he left on my answer machine. Do you think I want a guy like that in my organization?
No, definitely not.
Deselect. And I'll tell you, the guy had an unbelievable resume. But guess what I just avoided? I dodged a bullet. Screen the calls in your own time. That's the nice part. And with the system that I use, it literally sends you a message of the guy's voice or the girl's voice answering those questions. You get to listen to them. You get to decide whether you want the resume or not. At that point, you say, okay, I would love to see your resume. If they left a great message like Shireen, then you want to move forward to the next step. So the next step is the deselection. Invite successful applicants to a 4-hour interview and have your team attend. Me and Hayden did this together. It was actually quite fun. And we ran it in not a boardroom, but we ran it in our board. I guess it was our boardroom. Yeah. A little smaller than the one we have now. 1 hour is the owner on the company story, vision, and mission. And guys, I get it. If there's a position like Mitch and Sean, in your type of situation, we'd have to modify this a little bit because the amount of turnover with drivers, and that's a contract position, that's a little bit different. But you guys are soon going to be hiring for a more important position in your company. So that's when you would use this selection. So we would have a 4-hour interview. We'd run it in a boardroom at my office. We would have a 1 hour on the vision of the company and where it's going, because we want the best people to consider the job. This necessarily, guys, we're growing. You guys are all growing in your business, not just Mitchie. Every business owner on here has the ambition to grow. As you grow, it's not a bad thing to tell everybody what you're doing and why you're doing it, because they're going to get excited and they're going to be more likely to take an entry position knowing that there's more coming. Like, I wouldn't get the caliber of people that work for me if I didn't have a vision. My last office was the size of my office is now, my one office. Shireen wouldn't have came and worked for me. She would have thought we were crazy. Hour 2. What's that? Sorry?
I'm pretty sure she still thinks that.
Yeah. A good crazy though. So the second hour of the deselection process is the culture and each team member speaking on what it is like to work there. Guys, I'm not saying this has to be exactly an hour. It could be an hour. It could be 20 minutes. It could be an hour and 10 minutes. We call it a 4-hour hiring process because it could take potentially 4 hours. So hour number 2, we're going to talk about our culture in the business. Here's our culture. Here's why. And then we get the team to explain the culture and what they love about it. So if it's just you as a business owner hiring your first employee, that'll be you explaining all of that. Hour 3 is the applicant speaking for 3 to 5 minutes each on why they want to work for this company. This is a powerful process. Shireen, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Can you explain kind of how the process went when you were hired and how it made you feel?
So I saw the post on Indeed, and it was very descriptive. It had all the job duties, the responsibilities, the hours, everything was included, and I was very interested. I think the prerequisite was to give in your qualifications, a letter, and why you want to work there. And then there was a number you were supposed to call, and it was a phone interview. So I called the number, and they had 4 different questions, and I think you were only allowed to record 3 times. I think 3 times was the limit. After that, it won't even take your message. So you were supposed to talk about who you are, why you wanted to work in this company, and what your USP was. Like, why should they consider you over any other person who applies? And then through that, I believe Derek and Hayden had 85 or 82 applicants. Out of those 82 people.
I got a question for you there, Shireen.
Yes.
How did that make you feel when you got that, when you initially picked up that phone? What was the whole feeling around it? Was it different? Had you seen it before? How did that whole process feel?
I felt overwhelmed, but I was also enthusiastic. So I was like, should I just send in a voice message and see what happens? Or should I just back out and feel fearful? And I guess that's when I was perturbing internally. I was like, no, I think I love everything about the job and the description. So let me just take a flyer. And then I recorded the message. I didn't write a script or anything. And I think after 3 or 4 days, Derek emailed me.
Yeah.
Or on the job site interview.
So stepping back into that, you said something very important. you almost hung up the phone, but you were strong enough to stay on the call, get it done and persevere, and you made it through it. Those are the applicants we want. The ones that have heart, that take it to that next level. So if they can't, and trust me, that message is fast. You have to get it. Like it's quite, it could be overwhelming. You get a couple of shots at it, but at the same time, most people would just drop the phone and be like, this is ridiculous. And I swear we eliminated 80% of the applicants that I never would have wanted working for me in that one process. So the next process was, we brought you in and we explained our culture. We explained our vision and our mission. What did you feel then? When you were in the room, there was other applicants?
Oh, that was actually the third meeting. There was a meeting before that where you come in and you were supposed to do some on-the-job task. I think you made me do an Excel question and then an email. And then you told me if I was qualified, then you would call me for round 3. And round 3 was when Hayden went over the mission, the vision, the culture. We played some games. Yes, it was exciting.
Yeah.
And I think.
What did you think of that? Like, did it stand out to you, or was it just another interview?
It definitely stood out. It was very different. I was like, man, I want to be working in this organization. Just meeting Hayden and Derek and listening to them, listening to their goals, listening to their vision, and the fact that they wanted to be the largest movement of business growth in British Columbia. That statement had me. I'm like, oh my God, I need to be working here.
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, so I mean, those are things that just are really powerful. So that hour 3 is the applicant speaking for 3 to 5 minutes each on why they want to work with the company. And I listened to everybody in that meeting, and out of them all, there was some good applicants we had in the meeting. It was one of the tougher decisions I had to make. Me and Hayden perturbed on it, who we were going to hire, and the next step was the DISC assessment. And everybody knows the DISC assessment. So from the DISC assessment, we knew what we wanted for that position, and we could use the DISC assessment and the VAC, which is your visual, audio, and kinesthetic learning. We use those 2 tools to align whether what they told us in the interview matched what they actually are showing us in their DISC assessment. If somebody's like, oh, I'm super motivated and I just love making phone calls, and you look at their DISC assessment and they're like a spike in high C, and they are a spiking low I and a spiking low D, you might go, well, why would he want to make phone calls? He doesn't even like, or they say, I love people. I love people. I love everybody. I love every kind of people. And then you look at them and their people is gone. They don't have people on their DISC assessment. So we get to identify that as well. So that's a powerful process. And I'm telling you, the little bit of time that this takes to get you guys to go through this system, it's going to save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars down the road. Your aim, my aim, was to scare some people away and excite the right ones. Literally, that's what we were doing the entire time. We were deselecting. I wanted the people with heart. Show them the full story, good, bad, and the otherwise. So there will be no honeymoon phase. I think Hayden showed the good, or sorry, Hayden showed the bad, I showed the good. So we made a good team. We definitely did. We didn't get to experience much of a honeymoon phase.
Definitely.
So step 4, the induction. Bring back the best applicants for a one-to-one interview with you. So if you have, say out of that interview, you get 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6, whatever that might be, interview with you and several team that they will work with. Ask even tougher questions this time. Cover details of their employment at that point. Choose the right person. And if nobody is good enough, don't settle. Never settle. If nobody is good enough in that next process, run the process again, start all over. It's worth it. Long term, it's worth it. Never hire the best of a bad bunch. It happens, guys. Just pay attention to that. Get them straight into the induction when they leave the interview, even if it will be sometime before they start. So the induction would be to get ready. So the truth is, oh, I forgot this was here. You get what you did. You get the employees you deserve. Your business grows to your level of incompetence. Invest in your own personal development. This is the truth. So remember, never wish business was easier. Wish you were better. Going back to the beginning, guys, our business is going to grow to our level of competence, incompetence, whatever you want to say. If you want to grow your business, you have to grow. Or you hire people like Shireen and they help you. If success was easy, then everybody would do it. Brad Sugars. It's just the reality. Any questions, anybody?
I got a quick one. You were saying that related on the different positions, you would adjust the process, right? So you were saying for Mitchie and Sean, you know, doing a contract position, it would be maybe a shorter process. What parts of it would you actually be adjusting?
Well, I think in their case, they have people start, I don't know, they have contract positions, and it's a little bit tougher in their world just because it's complicated. I don't even know how to answer that question, to be honest.
That's fair.
It's a very rare occasion that you wouldn't do it, because there isn't many other things I could think of. The problem with, I think, what Mitchies are dealing with is they might have a student who wants a job for a weekend, literally. That's all.
Yeah,
they want.
they're not long-term employees. Generally speaking, these people that come on to do this job aren't looking to graduate up and move up in our company.
That's fair.
Oftentimes somebody, they're just looking for like literally 48 hours of work.
That's fair. Cool.
Yeah, so in some cases, I mean, they have long-term people in that commitment, in that position, but the reality of it is they do have people that literally will start, get paid, and they're gone. So that's literally, you know, part of something you can't always avoid that. Yeah. Any other questions around the hiring process? That was a great one. Anybody want to add anything that I missed? That was a good question. Anybody see any challenges in their business? That's a good question. Anybody see any challenges in their business where they think this wouldn't work? Like especially for a serious position in your business? Would you be worried maybe you wouldn't get enough applicants? Everybody's scared. If we were in person right now, everybody would be talking.
Sometimes it's hard, you know, like for the salon, you have to see the practical skill, right? It's not just about the person, it's what's their actual skill when they're cutting hair or doing a manicure or something like that, right? So you have to have the interview, like what you've been talking about, but you also have to have another interview where they bring people in so you can actually see what their skill is.
Yeah. Oh, great example, actually. You're right, Sandra. So in some cases, that's something I didn't cover. So in Shireen's case, we actually added one more step in there, and that's part of Action Coach, which we would coach you on if that was the situation, where we actually needed to see if they could function in that position. So we'd brought in Shireen and 5 other applicants in for 4 hours and had them actually perform the job before the final decision. So we went through that stage of that and then made sure they could do the position. And then once I decided that they were definitely good at what they did, then we brought them back for the last final meeting. So yes, you could do that. That's why I said we can be creative in the way we do this. The big thing is just putting out the message of this is who we are, this is where we're going, this is why we're exciting, this is why you guys want to work for me. And then if they phone that number and they are like, oh God, this is ridiculous, and hang up, do you really think long-term that is somebody you want to work in your organization? I actually heard one guy on one of the calls was like, oh God, and then hung up. Like literally that was his message, and he had a great resume. How much time would I have wasted interviewing 80 people, or say I narrowed it down to even 20 or 10 even? Like I had the best candidates right out the gate. And the thing I would actually, I would put out there as well is, even though Sandra, you're right about that, and we did actually add that extra process, if somebody's willing to pick up a phone and give it all they got in 3 minutes, give it all they got. This is why you should hire me. This is why, this is what I got to offer. And this is why I want to work for you. And you hear that and you're like, wow, that's incredible. That guy, that girl, that's who I want. Now, the next step would be, now that you like that phone call, you could say, okay, I'm going to add one in, come cut somebody's hair.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there, then you would get them back to do it. But definitely the heart is in that phone call. If they have enough, like if they want the job bad enough, they're going to do everything in their power. I would rather have 80 people call and one person actually get through the call and give you everything they got than to have 20 people show up half-cocked.
So just question, Derek, is it possible that because there's so much phone scamming going on, that when people heard a recording, they didn't want to leave their personal information? And if there's another way to deselect other than that?
all we ask for is their name and maybe a email, I think, phone number, name and phone number. We don't ask for like anything major details. And you're a reputable company, so I don't think you would have, I actually personally don't think you would have that problem.
In in the job posting, didn't it say to like leave a message, like call the number and leave a message? Doesn't it say that in the job posting itself as well?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did say that. And then it had the company's name as well, and it was verified. It's a verified LinkedIn or Indeed account.
Yeah.
So that.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, the LinkedIn account is verified. Yeah, so it worked well. And not only that, like the ones, like if I put it on Facebook, I didn't put that message that call this number in there. I just let them like apply to it. And then I would refer to them, hey, thanks, you've been selected to go forward to the next process. Here's what the next process is. I'm going to have you call this number. We're going to ask you 3 questions and we just want to hear your answers. And then that's, yeah, so maybe that warms it up a bit. But yeah, the one is verified through Indeed. So when you're an Indeed verified business, it's like the government website business. You have to go through, like I have to give them my business number. I have to give them all the credentials of being an actual business. So yeah, I guess, I guess part of it is if they really want the job and they don't want to leave a message, they could email me and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. But at the same time, maybe I'd be questioning whether I'd want somebody that's that untrusted. Could be, or could miss out on an opportunity. I guess there's that chance. What do you think, Hayden?
I'm good.
What do you think? Anybody else got any observations around that or any other questions?
I have one related to hiring salespeople. Would you consider doing role playing with the salesperson to see what his skill is on the spot when they come in for an interview?
Well,
Like
what we did with we did in our meeting. So during the session, we actually put each one in a room and made them make 5 phone calls.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah,
that's a
guys,
good-
there's more to this than what we showed you, but the reason why I kept it so broad is because it's not going to be the same for every business. We're going to be a little bit flexible in certain ways. Not so flexible that we break, as I always say, but flexible in the sense that there is going to be other steps that you'll need to do. Obviously, like one thing big, and I haven't gone over it, but you'll see it in our actual process. It gets down to the details. Like some people need credit checks. Some people need criminal record checks. There's lots of stuff that would go into the next step. So this is just high overview, just flying over the bigger picture of what we do. There is going to be some other strategies. They have to perform, if they need special licenses or they have to have a red seal or whatever that might be. We've got to work on that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anybody else want to give me any feedback or anything that maybe I can address? Concerns, questions, anything in between?
I'm good.
Okay, so just getting back to it. Right behind me, it says be times do equals have. Just remember, who do you have to be to attract the best people? That was the big thing for me. I wanted to attract the best people. I wasn't at that stage, and maybe I'm not even there yet, but every day I work on myself. I get up, I have rituals. I do everything to try to grow myself to attract the best people in the world. If you want the best team, show them that you're willing to do what it takes to be the person that can lead them. And like we said with the Kaizen, constant and never-ending improvement. Just grow a little bit every day. 5 minutes of reading a day is more than probably 80% of the people out there. 5 minutes a day of consistent reading. That's all it takes sometimes. You don't got to be like a guru and reading 2 books a day or be like Brad Sugars, who read a book a day or a book a week, sorry, and still continues. You don't got to be like Seth. What's his last name? Godin. You don't got to be like Seth Godin and do a blog every day for the last 7,500 days. Since the 90s, he's been doing a blog a day. You don't have to do that. But if you did a blog a week, even just a little bit more than what everybody else does, you're going to attract better people. If success was easy, then everybody would be doing it. That's very true. But it doesn't, even though it feels like there's a big gap to where we want to be and where we are maybe today, but if we just take that little step each day, it's amazing how quickly that gap closes. Awesome. Any other questions? And don't be afraid to pick this apart a little bit if you need to. I want to make sure everybody's comfortable with the idea. And then the other thing is, if anybody wants me to send them the actual hiring package that we use, it gives quite the detail. Maybe just we've emailed everybody, so just send me an email and I'll forward it to you. It's the full process. So it's laid out step by step about what we talked about today. But I hope everybody understands that the bigger picture is the vision, the bigger goal, the end, so that you can attract the best people. And then the other part of it is life's a mirror. And we get the people we deserve in business. And I don't mean that harshly. I appreciate everybody. I'm actually, when I say that, I'm saying that to myself. The reality of it is we get what we deserve. We get who we deserve. And as we grow, they will grow. And as we grow, we get high caliber. And so just by taking, even in getting involved in this meeting today, you've just raised the bar in your business. So congratulations, everybody. Taking the first of many steps to success. Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. I did leave us a little extra time in case there was questions, but it sounds like everybody's pretty comfortable by the looks of it. Okay.
Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, and if anybody wants that, the 4-hour hiring process and wants it in detail, just send me an email. It's free for you. I'll send it out to you. You guys can use it. If you want help or you want to talk about how to implement it in your business, get a hold of us. We'll walk you through it.
It's Derek.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Derek.
everybody.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, and please give me feedback if you guys want, if you want to do it privately so you don't hurt my feelings. I love it. I'd love to hear how I can make this better. This is the first one I've done in this kind of a program, and I want to make it better. If I can add something to it or be more clear about certain things, let me know and just private message me. I'll only cry for a little while. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting unless anybody's got any questions.
Thanks. Peace out, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, onward and upward. Have a good day, everybody.
You too.